Welcome to another episode of Cloudy with a Chance of Desktops. I'm your host, Sean Massey. Today, we have a bunch of special guests on the podcast. Last week was Omnissa ONE, and Omnissa ONE is kind of their conference that they've started up in the last 2 years since they have spun out of VMware. So joining us today is a number of the Omnissa Tech Insiders to talk about what was announced at Omnissa ONE last week, and to kind of give their thoughts and feedback on the conference and the announcements and what they're excited about. So I'm going to start with introductions of our panel. Rob, you're the first one that's up on my screen, so if you'd like to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Rob Ryan. I am a Omnissa Tech Insider and spent almost 10 years doing professional services for VMware on the Horizon and Workspace.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Rob. Up next, Jens, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi, my name is Jens Hennig. I'm also a tech insider, and I'm working as a solution architect and also have more than 10, 15 years background in EUC business. Still remember the days when it was called VDM, before it was called Horizon and so on. So yeah, a long time fan.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for joining us, Jens. Chris, you're next.
Chris Hildebrand, also a tech insider. Been at this for 15 years or so. Yep, I remember the VDM days very well.
Yep. All right. Thanks for joining us, Chris. Tony?
Awesome. I'm Tony Foster. I am a technical marketing engineer at Dell focused on our storage platforms. And I'm also a tech insider.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Tony. And last but not least, Stephen.
Hey everyone, Stephen Wagner. I'm an Omnissa Tech Insider. I'm also president of Digitally Accurate Inc. We're a proud Omnissa partner, and I blog. I also sit on the board of directors of World of EUC along with Sean.
All right. Thanks for joining us, Stephen. So last week we were all together in Vegas for Omnissa ONE, and I'd like to get all your thoughts on the conference and everything that came out of it. So if you guys would like to, what did you think of Omnissa ONE? What went well?
I thought it was a different conference to call out. It was different. I didn't get to go to last year's. This year's, I got the opportunity to go for 2025. And realistically, from the highlights that I saw from last year, this year is they completely changed the vibe of things and how they're pushing forward. I think officially the separation has set place, and hey, we're taking the bull by the horns and running with it. They're innovating on so many different platforms all at once. It's kind of exciting, for sure.
It's very exciting, yes.
It has been terribly calm for the past 6 months or before, since last year's events. And everyone was hoping for now a solid roadmap to be presented. And to be fair, they really delivered. So everyone I've spoken with is really amazed with the roadmap that's coming up. Only feedback I gave and everyone else gave, can we accelerate it? Yeah, so because everything is looking so far pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think the excitement around being able to support Nutanix HV and the announcement of OpenShift coming in the next year or so really is going to address a lot of customers' concerns.
Yeah,
I think
what we have in the pipe. Sorry, go ahead, Stephen.
No, I was just going to say, I think we owe Omnissa a round of applause. They were in a very difficult situation last year with the divestiture. A lot of operational systems were pulled, like a rug pulled out of underneath their feet with the separation from Broadcom. A lot of customers, despite being reminded numerous times, for some reason it couldn't click to customers that Omnissa was a new company. And so Omnissa had a really difficult solution, a really difficult problem where there was no right answer. There was no easy way out. They were posed with a problem where it was, we can take all these different routes. Which one is going to hurt the least? And from a strategic point of view, they executed everything perfectly and flawlessly. This conference was way better than last year. Last year was all about the identity. This year, like everyone just mentioned, it was all about the roadmap. We've talked about all the solutions that everyone's been familiar with, all the development that's going into to the roadmap and bettering these products, coming up with new products, everything that's going on with Dex, the server management with Workspace ONE. This year was an amazing event. I just wish that more customers would have been there to see it. Like, attendance was great. Don't get me wrong. Like, I think we were just shy of, or just hit 1,000 people, which is more than I believe what was expected. But the thing is that all of this was relevant. Everything that they were speaking, I wanted to hear and talk about. Even the technical sessions were great. We had the briefing on the indirect display driver, Blast, the developments that are going on with supporting the Blackwell GPUs. They shared a couple roadmappy things that I don't even think we're allowed to talk about, with some of the stuff that they're going to be supporting in the future with the GPUs, which was pretty cool. What else was everyone's thoughts?
I've got to say, they didn't say AI. That was not the lead for any of the sessions except the AI focused sessions. You went to the keynote, it wasn't AI. It was actually a moderated and well-planned approach to how to use AI for what their strategy is.
Which is what it should be.
Yes.
It's a tool. It's not a product. It's a process. You should enhance stuff happening in the background, and great. How you do that magic, I don't care, but that you've gotten in there, great. It's not something that, a lot of these companies have built their entire identity around whatever AI model that they're pushing at the moment. And I was around during the .com era, so I remember how that kind of goes when the bubble bursts. And I think a lot of these little companies are going to find themselves on the wrong end of that stick.
So what I
And
find
maybe even some large companies too, because to that point, right? A lot of companies are talking about AI for the sake of AI, and I was going to save this topic for later, but since we kind of segued into it, Omnissa did talk a lot about their AI strategy, and even though it wasn't a focal point of the keynote, it was still there. So what do you guys all think of Omnissa's AI strategy and how they're integrating AI into their platform? Since that was a big focus of the keynote.
That is, that matches what I wanted to say before, pretty well. What I was always amazed about in the past, so let me first talk about the past and then let's go to the future, was when we talk about or think about Workspace ONE, how carefully this was all constructed together. They had a clear vision in mind where they want to be in 5 years. And that's why they strategically bought AirWatch, they strategically bought app volumes and so on. And they actually really knew that is actually fitting very well together. Let's build something, and that is a state where I want to be in 5 years. And that they were pretty much ahead of the competition during those days because they had actually a plan, did not replicate what others were doing. And that was missing in the last few years, if you ask me. Now, when you see the keynote and what they basically say, what they have planned with AI, for me, it's like really a carefully designed strategy. So they're doing it step by step, and that's what you can see right now here as well. So one of the things is like bringing Workspace ONE and Horizon slightly together, start with AI, but carefully in the area where it makes sense. And you can already see they don't talk really in detail where they want to be in 5 years, but you can definitely see that they have kind of a roadmap, an idea where they want to be, and they're carefully doing it. And I'm really happy about it, because if they are able to deliver something similar like they did in the past, we can all be very excited about it.
Any other thoughts on Omnissa's, AI strategy?
I do like its integration from the different platforms, or what is planned for integration into the other platforms. How it's human-centric initiated across the board. Automation where it is, but human interaction where it needs to be. Kind of driving that home. More of a functional enhancement instead of whatever everybody else is doing with AI, because really I don't think a lot of people know what they're doing with AI quite right yet.
I think that's
some AI
because
to it,
it's
huh?
not the product. The AI is not the product itself. It's we're going to use these AI models to analyze logs, to evaluate user experience, to go based on the rules you set up to take some actions around that. I think that it's a far more grounded approach than a lot of other companies are taking with the technology.
Agree, and it's not just a chat bot. They're not adding just a chat bot into the system.
Yeah.
Say representative to reach a human.
Like to talk to a person.
Make me a GIF to respond to user.
So I will say, right, that was the one thing that stood out to me, Chris, to your point, right? It's very human centric. It's very human in the loop. It's built to be more assistive technology rather than admin replacement, right? With what they demoed. Now, I think we've all been around the VMware ecosystem long enough to know that sometimes when stuff gets demoed on a keynote, it's like, well, is it really going to come that way? Is it really going to work that well? And so I think that's the one thing that remains to be seen, but I am impressed by what they show.
Well, and I think they were kind of heading that direction even before the divestiture, with freestyle and that kind of stuff. So the basic concepts were there. I think AI is just going to make it easier.
So AI wasn't the only thing that they talked about in the keynote. There were quite a few product announcements. So just, real quick, right? What was, the one or maybe even two announcements that excited you the most? And I think I heard a couple during some of the introductions and in the last segment, but Rob, I'm going to start with you because you talked about a couple things with Horizon and new platforms.
Yeah. Well, and that information isn't really new, although that we did hear in a few sessions that OpenShift was next on the list, which, I think is great because that's a lot of people are looking for a VMware exit strategy at this point. And the problem with that is that it just worked for so long. It was the de facto standard. Other companies hadn't really stepped up from the support aspect of it. And, a lot of these businesses, people throw around Proxmox all the time. Like something that's great, but I can't, if something blows up outside of 9 to 5 Central European time, I can't get support for it. I'm not going to make that jump in my business. Having Nutanix, having IBM, Red Hat behind these other hypervisors is going to be a lot easier for customers to swallow than some of the other options that are out there right now.
I guess there might be some European companies that offer, 2-shift support basically in the night as well. But anyway, So don't want to get into this discussion again with hypervisors.
But that, and I think that, finally getting the server management into DEM or UEM, blank EM, is going to be pretty clutch too. That and the selective patching that they talked about were all kind of highlights for me.
Okay. So Jens, any thoughts on, what announcements excited you?
Yeah, we are pretty much Horizon centric here. So that's why I'm going to pull my favorite from Workspace ONE. And, I was pretty much excited about the support for administrative templates, so ADMX files support, which is great for Workspace ONE because before you were kind of limited with baselines, and that gives you really a lot of freedom when it comes to Windows management. So in total, there were a lot of very good Windows management announcements in there. And my second pick, as a huge app volume advocate, I want to raise up the possibility that you can now launch native app volume and native apps and app volume MSI apps directly from the Intelligent Hub from Windows, which is really great. So it does not really need to install. You can directly click and it will start, which gives you really the version of a real app store, like on an iPhone, whatever. You click on it in the app store and it basically starts, and that's what's basically missing. So it's huge. But I leave the Horizon stuff to the other guys.
Okay. So, Chris, if you want to go next.
Sure. Unfortunately, Jens has stole my thunder already. No, no. I think it deserves to be called out quite a bit. The Workspace ONE decouplement from MDM and enabling server management is huge. It's a huge move forward for them. The possibility of in the future of doing image management for non-persistent desktops inside of there is huge. Updating it from there, I mean, the entire stack from that side is absolutely amazing. The other great thing to hear following this conversation, to kind of also follow in that world of app volumes, is app volumes becoming centric to everything. Before it was kind of an afterthought application. We just purchased it. It's an addition. It's an app layering. I'm not saying it wasn't bad or it wasn't good on its own. I'm still a huge fan of app volumes and will be for a long time. But it's always been kind of an afterthought application and kind of on its own. And seeing it become integrated into so many things is amazing, because it is a great technology that offers a huge amount of benefits and flexibility for companies throughout the world. So,
and before I jump into wrap up with Stephen and Tony on this, the app volume stuff, making app volumes really centric to the vision. I mean, we've heard that before with some products, and it's great to finally see that vision realized.
That is
there was
clear.
a name. Yeah. There was a name of something that was kicked around and announced a few times that, but all kidding aside, it is great to see that fully realized, because app volumes has always had a lot of potential as a product. And to see it, really expanded beyond just the Horizon use case is great. So, Stephen, I'm going to turn it over to you.
So everyone that's on here right now has done a fantastic job of pretty much talking about everything that was announced. And so I guess the only thing left for me to do is summarize it. So in summary, this is more choice for customers, more choice of the hypervisors they want to run, more choice for the way that they want to deliver applications. Omnissa is open to providing these choices and especially with the development that they talked about with future support for other platforms. There were some other platforms that were talked about in conversations that are currently certified not for provision-enabled workloads, but for non-provisioned workloads. A comment being made about, you can even run persistent desktops on VME. So, more choice for the customers. This is what customers are looking for. It's adapting with the times, with everything going on with all the tech companies and the industry and the economy. So, looking forward to what's to come. I'm as a partner, I'm happy that I have products that I can be confident in selling. For my customers, I'm happy that I have products that they can use inside of to deliver workspace to their users. It's a good time to be involved.
So, Tony, anything to add to that, or any thoughts you had on favorite announcements?
Yes, and it's actually going to be one where I think most of this group's like, no, that's old news, Tony. But I think it's actually relevant because this is really where it got highlighted at. All of the stuff around certification. So they had free certification exams at Omnissa ONE this year. You could get your base level certifications. So that was fabulous. Then they had the stuff around the next level up. And now if you go to the certification site, you'll actually see their design expert certification. And so, yeah, that's all been there for a while, but I think
It gave out 10. Yeah.
there you go, Rob. Yeah. You're actually really seeing it come out into the open and be recognized for what it is. And I think that has a huge value to both partners and customers alike. So
Available actually for everyone right now, right? The OCA for Horizon and OCA for Works One, I think
Yes.
since 4 weeks, whatever, open. So it's, as far as I am aware, everyone thought the certifications were pretty much fair, the new exams. So go and get it. And OCE is going to hopefully be launched in November, December.
Yeah.
So get prepared.
Yeah, and the OCA exam, I know a few of us were involved in helping create that, and when I was talking with Joe Cooper, who heads up kind of the certification and instruction team, somebody had walked up and asked about the exam, and we encouraged that person to take the exam. And when I ran into them later in the conference, I asked how they did, and they're like, "Yeah, I passed." And like they were nervous going into it. So from what I've heard from the feedback on it, it went well. Like you said, Jens, right? People thought it was fair, and these first level exams are really designed for people who, if you've been using Horizon or Workspace ONE for 6 months to a year, go out, download the blueprint, study up, and go take it. And I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they're going to have these exams available at Omnissa ONE in Amsterdam and in Tokyo. So if you're
Yes.
going to one of those events, you have an opportunity to take it there too. And there was one thing Chris touched on too that I'm really excited for, which is, Chris mentioned, right, they're decoupling Workspace ONE from using the built-in Windows MDM or OMA DA APIs. And I'm kind of excited for this, partially on a personal level, because now I can actually get stuff into my lab in Workspace ONE to test it without having to unenroll from Intune first and deal with all the pain that comes with that. But I think that's going to be a good use case for customers too, especially around Windows devices. It was kind of funny. We heard more than a few shots across the bow at a certain large competitor that may bundle their management solution into their larger stacks. And, having that ability to co-manage and to transition on your time frame is incredibly important, as well as that ability to start managing Windows Server, right? So you can kind of get like an all-in-one solution for everything.
Well, and it was mentioned a few times too, to be able to fix and add new features without having to wait for a third party to update APIs is a lot more conducive to making customers happy than the alternative.
Yeah. So the last question I have about Omnissa ONE is, around autonomous workspaces. And, we kind of touched on the AI piece a little bit earlier, but their central messaging really seemed to be driven around building towards that autonomous workspace. For, the next year or two, does this feel like a real thing for you guys? Do you feel that customers are going to be interested in having more automated management, potentially AI-driven management of their EUC environment?
So, as one that has spent a lot of time, preaching to people about automating their VDI workloads, I think it has huge potential, especially a GUI-driven mentality for it. Because unfortunately, a lot of us, or a lot of the customers in the space, are not familiar with APIs or doing coding of any sorts. So it is a little harder and a little bit more of a cost entry in a normal stance in today's world. Whereas maybe a GUI driven or AI driven becomes more centric and enables a lot more people to jump onto it at a lower cost of entry.
Yeah, I think that, the barrier behind automation a lot of the time is the time and effort to learn how to do it. Easier that they can make that, the more integrated the AI is into the product itself, I think is really going to encourage adoption.
Absolutely. And I also think, do you want the 19-year-old or 20-year-old pimply kid helping you creating this stuff for you? Or would you rather have something created by an AI system? I tend to lean towards give me the AI system because I don't want to deal with the 19-year-old kid that's like, I know how to do this, and then winds up formatting all your drives.
Either one, though, you need to know what you're doing.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
You can't just let either one of those scenarios go out on their own, because you could end up with very much the same results.
Oh,
Yes.
that's how we end up with robots taking over the world.
Plus, that 19-year-old kid who accidentally formats all your drives, that's the last time he ever makes that mistake.
Yeah,
Yes.
I don't want to be the party crasher, and you will take tell me afterwards. Don't be so German. I have my problems with that. Point taken. It's the vision of the autonomous workspace, and as I said previously, I'm very happy that they have a vision and where they want to go. As well, you have to see it. They're going it step by step, and you have to present something AI centric right now. Looking at my customers, they have currently way other problems so far, which are luckily being addressed. So they have Windows 11 migration. They have to figure out what to do with the lifecycle management for apps. Security landscape, where they have very good products been released, and the first iteration of AI we will see helping the admins a little bit. And before we are in the self-healing, self-autonomous, whatever workspace, I think we have to wait a while. So currently, I think no one knows exactly. I'm not sure really 100% if they by themselves know 100% exactly where they want to bring it, but at least it's a path in direction. But first, we should. I'm happy that they get their feet on the ground and keep pushing, bring great new features that actually really help me instead of building some AI vaporware, which I don't need currently and where people are scared of or don't want to use.
Well, I kind of got the impression that the tack they're taking is more on the assistance aspect of the AI and not, not focusing on it as the product. Here's another tool that can do some of this stuff for you. If you want to use this and incorporate it into your workflow, it's there now. If
but
not,
this
you don't have to.
The term autonomous workspace implies for me that something like, I throw it to the machine and it's doing everything for me. That's basically, and that's why I said, like, we are not really there yet. And I'm very happy that they take this,
Does
step-by-step
AI
approach,
need a Windows
right?
desktop of its own? It's it's already doing all the work. I mean,
That's a different topic altogether.
And there's other pieces of the autonomous workspace, whether it's AI driven or not, though, that I think there's aspects that they talked about, right? The ability to have all the data that's ingested by UEM and Horizon and goes to Dex, right? Able to then go through and identify anomalies and having admins be able to set up rules to say, oh, this person's laptop needs a new battery, open a ticket. And assign it to this group right away. That way they don't have to wait till the user says, hey, I unplugged my laptop and it dies. They can start being a little bit more proactive. I see that in some ways as an autonomous like workspace where it's not necessarily the system managing it, but it's the system kind of providing a little bit of overwatch to it to, start to identify problems and start to surface them. And as organizations mature, start to create, workflows for it to take some form of action, whether it's directly remediating something or opening a ticket to remediate it as well.
I think that's the value of it, is that, we're at a point now where there's so much data available about these environments that it's really next to impossible for a lot of admins to pay attention to all of it all the time. So without having some sort of assistance to be able to focus on, the important things like user experience and that kind of stuff that's going to generate those late night calls and or emails to C-suite people who will come down on high on you for not having, Bob from accounting's desktop fixed that you didn't even know about until you got in this morning and saw the email. I think there's a lot of potential there.
All right. So we're going to head into some of our closing thoughts here. the last question I had, right? We all talked about being part of the Tech Insiders program. Does anybody want to give like a quick high level overview of what the Tech Insiders are and where they can learn more? Steven?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'll
was
jump
gonna
in.
nominate
Yes.
Steven.
We
Likewise.
nominate Steven.
So, the Omnissa Tech Insiders, we're a group of like-minded individuals who are very passionate about Omnissa solutions, products, services, etc. We're also very known for sharing the knowledge that we have through either content generation, blogging, creating YouTube videos. Quite a few of us go to conferences and present. We're pretty much just out there teaching people how to use this stuff. And so because we're advocates for the technology, Omnissa has a group called the Omnissa Tech Insiders that you can apply to be a part of. And it's great because we get home lab licenses, because we all know that we all have home labs and we all love running huge data center enterprise applications inside of servers sitting in our condos or homes. And we get access to product managers. We have product briefing calls. And you essentially join a part of a family. Like, we live around the world, but I've seen most of you on this podcast right now, 3 times in the last month? So it's kind of cool because you get to join this family and, we're all very skilled and knowledgeable with these products. So whenever we have questions, we can bounce it around each other. It's just a great group to be part of. I don't know if anyone has anything to add to that.
I think it's a great group to be able to leverage too. I'm not the first to admit that I don't know everything, but having these guys around, collectively, we do.
Yes, I've had a couple of scenarios where I'm like, why isn't this working? And just throw it to the group, and it's like, oh, is there a white bar in your window? Press enter, and it'll keep going. And it's like, dear, I can't believe that I actually had that happen to me.
Hit escape.
Yeah. So, to learn more, I believe the site's community.omnissa.com. That is their greater community site. There is information about being part of Tech Insiders there. And I think we may have a page up on TechZone as well, but I don't remember off the top of my head. We'll put that in the description in the show notes when this gets posted. So, Jens, Chris, Steven, Tony, Rob, I want to thank you all for taking some time today to join to talk about Omnissa ONE and all the exciting stuff that was announced last week and the conference. We're all very active on social media and as bloggers. I'll make sure to put links to blogs and Twitter or other sites and link me pages and things like that in the descriptions as well, so you can connect with our panelists and follow them on social media. So everyone, thanks for taking some time this afternoon, or in Jens' case, this evening, to join us.
Thanks for having us, Sean.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh,
Sean.
and yes, Jens,
Thanks
if you
so
want to.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, if Sean is releasing this rather quickly, and you have a chance to go to Amsterdam, Omnissa ONE, just reach out and say hello. Happy to drink a Heineken with you.
Yeah, Jens will be in Amsterdam. I'm told that the event is already sold out. But if you are going to be going, definitely reach out to Jens. And again, gentlemen, thank you for joining this afternoon and this evening, and everyone have a great day.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks.